And now he's just up there grumpily smoking.
Yeah, I'm going to at least see the boat off, or he's given a message to somebody on the boat to go and pass on to whoever he was going to see. There we go.
He says he's God. So, I mean, he definitely has a complex later on.
Oh, you think?
Man, that's a really fast catch by Russell Franklin to him. So it must show him as an adventurer to know, because when you're outside, you're looking at sharks, you're seeing gliding monsters, you're getting the tour, and you still know where the wind is going. He immediately says that. This guy knows. This shows that later on, what happens to him, he lets down his guard, and that's why he gets wiped out. But in the beginning, he knows where the wind's blowing.
Well, also later on, he's in an enclosed environment. Russell Franklin is a man of the outdoors, of nature. He knows what he's doing against the elements, but when he's deep underground or underwater, that's not where he's supposed to be.
Wow.
It's not where he thrives.
Wow.
I'm making this stuff up as we go.
So it's like those movies where they find a feral, like George of the Jungle, when they bring Brendan Fraser into Humanity. He's just not quite sure.
Yeah. See, I mean, I've got Doug on. We should be talking Crocodile Dundee, but fine. It's okay.
How would Crocodile Dundee do and the guy from Wolf Creek? I'm so sorry to be doing this to you. How would they do?
Oh, God.
I'm not sorry.
Inside these facilities.
Well, not well, I don't think. They're outdoors men as well, so you put them inside, and I don't think they'd go too well.
Yeah.
But when Carter has to pull in the elevator shaft, when he's having to pull the doors open on the level 2 to let the water rush out, he uses his knife. I feel like Mick Dundee would have a better job because he's got a better knife.
That's true.
Oh, they both have knives.
We love our knives down here.
Oh man, imagine those two knife fighting a shark.
Chuck in Wesley Snipes from Expendables 3, and then you got yourself a fight.
The closest we got to that was in Bait. And did you know that the guy, Walt Conte, who did the sharks on Deep Blue Sea, also helped with the sharks in Bait, the grocery store shark movie?
Oh, I need to see that one. I still need to see that.
Oh, that's so good. And that dude from Wolf Creek is in Bait. I don't think he stabbed a shark, though. Sharni Vincent's the hero in that one.
That feels like a missed opportunity if you have a knife and a shark. I mean, in this film, a shark gets stabbed not with a knife, gets stabbed with a crucifix. So.
Oh, it's so good. Oh, man. So that's interesting, guys.
So we haven't mentioned Ida Totoro all that much. She is introduced here. She's not in many scenes, so we should probably talk about her whilst we still can. So pre-Deep Blue Sea, I don't think she'd been in anything that I'd seen. Just having a quick... Oh, she's in Sleepers. I do not remember her in Sleepers, but she is in Sleepers. But after this, she is obviously... Well, she's most famous to me for being in The Sopranos as Janice.
I love her office. I think the production design in her radar lounge is... Radar lounge?
Tower? I'm gonna go with tower.
And her radar tower is pretty. I like it has a coffee maker. There's plants.
Cacti. Yeah.
Cacti. It's lived in there. And very, good movies from bad movies when the production design, they go almost out of their way to make it seem homey. Like that's a pretty cool place she has in there to dance to. She has a great system. Really beautiful radar. Dark Helmet would love to watch radar and drink coffee in that room. I mean, and also another brilliant thing is they show you on the map where they are outside of Baja.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that gives you a location. So I loved her dancing, her musical choices, her coffee. I mean, plants. That's pretty much me right there. I love watching radar.
So judging by the map of where they are, I think I tried to look up a depth map of the ocean at that point, and it's around about 3,000 meters deep there. Just kind of estimating. You don't tend to get many freestanding structures out that deep. If you look at where most oil rigs, oil derricks go, they don't tend to be that deep, and if they are, they aren't as robust as Aquatica. So this would have required a considerable amount of engineering to put. It's originally a submarine fueling station, as we learned a couple of weeks ago. But yeah,
you're an engineer. Tell us about it.
I've tried to do some research into how they would do this, and unsurprisingly, it's under lock and key. A lot of the ways they were built, the American naval bases during the war, it's not readily available information for Googling. So I can't offer much. My guess it would be concrete and steel, a mixture of that. But yeah, tricky. I wouldn't know where to start doing this. But well done to those that did.
Beautiful facility. Got mothballed, man. Makes me sad.
Yeah, absolutely. But hey, it meant they could pick it up pretty cheap and make it into Aquatica. So. A
couple things that I liked, I don't know if you guys noticed, but during the conversation, so I liked her office. I loved all the little touches in there. And then during the scene where Skoggs and Super Tom are talking, in the background, there's a pipe that's just draining water. I thought that was a really neat little touch from it. I mean, that's production design that you don't really need, but they still added it in there. It made the facility seem more alive, and I liked it.
Yeah, and there's like patches of the stonework that are kind of crumbling, falling apart. You know, this is quite an old facility, so that makes sense. It reminds me of Toy Story, where if you ever watch Toy Story with the commentary on, they talk about having one of the person's job was an imperfectionist, where they took all of the animation and they made it look a little bit worse. They made like scuffs and marks on the floor and the walls and everything, as you would have in a house with kids and whatnot. So it just makes people like that, because this is all purpose built. This is a set. This is on the Titanic lot, in the Titanic tanks. So yeah, they had to discolor all of this, and they did a great job in making it look weathered and worn and well used.
I have a question for you guys, and I both want you to answer this. On a scale of 1 to 10, how irresponsible was it for Janice to take Russell Franklin to the very edge of a shark tank with no wires, where that giant shark could just demolish him? It's not going to do it because it's too smart for that. But
we've established that no one working here knows how high these sharks can jump. So,
clearly.
So if they think they can't clear an 8-foot fence, maybe they think they can't clear a 2.5-foot dock. Again, this could be the sharks' plan. They've lulled them into a false sense of security, and they think that we can't jump at all. We can just swim. We're gliding monsters. We're not jumping monsters.
It makes all these people seem like dummies.
It does, doesn't it? Well, not many of them survive, so maybe
yeah,
they
that's
are.
very true.
Maybe they are.
I guess it's it's a bit of foreshadowing for later on. Obviously, that he has a knack for getting a little bit too close to the water and forgetting what's underneath the waves.
Wow, that's a great point. He just walks right up there when a 40-foot shark goes by. Wow.
He takes his sunglasses off and you're waiting for the Who to go like, yeah! And it just doesn't happen.
Oh, man. But yeah, every time I see that scene and I watch that thing go by, I'm just thinking to myself, that shark right now is just laughing to itself.
You have no idea.
I'm going to do some nice swimming. Hey, guys, don't worry about me.
Well, and we get a shot from under the water, looking up, and it's a stationary shot just through the kind of the shimmering waves. Is there a shark down there just watching?
Yeah.
Just like hanging around.
Yeah. It's just looking at him.
It's just watching them.
It listens. It's pulling Antonio Banderas from 13th Warrior. I listened.
Do you hear that? He's pissing into the wind. Let's get him. He's the first to go.
I bet you $5 that this dude's going to stand by the water near the submarine later on in the film. Because they can talk.
We haven't established this, though, because this isn't canon.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, we're not there yet. But I'm telling you, these things, that shark, when it glides by and spies on them, they're just having a laugh. They're clever girls. Sharks.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for the Jurassic Park reference.
They're so smart. They're watching.
They're watching. They're always watching.
So I have one more question, since this is going to be our 4th episode. So, Doug, do you see this movie, like, the more we're talking about it, do you see it more as a Prison Break film?
Yes, actually, yeah. That's certainly not on first glance what if you're looking at it the shark's perspective, yes. That, like, it's a completely interesting take on a Prison Break film, in that, it's the animals trying to get out, which we don't see very often. So yeah, I can certainly see that element, and using their sort of growing brain capacity to manipulate the entire situation to allow them to escape. Which, it doesn't make a whole lot of logical sense that a shark could possibly be this forward-thinking, like, I'm going to do this and this and this and this is going to get me out of here. But it's an interesting take on a Prison Break genre, yeah.
Can I have you rank 3 movies for me?
Sure.
Okay, 4 movies. I'm going to have you rank Shawshank Redemption, Escape Plan, The Great Escape, and Deep Blue Sea. So rank these 4 movies for me.
There's a correct 4th place.
I have never been a huge fan of Shawshank Redemption.
Whoa.
But
I wouldn't put it
plan?
fourth.
Hang on. Escape plan, Doug. Think about this. Escape plan.
Hey, let him go. I want to hear this. I love this. This is great.
I would put The Great Escape as number 1.
Okay.
I would probably put Deep Blue Sea as number 2, then Shawshank, then Escape Plan.
Okay.
Thank
you. It's acceptable.
Yeah.
I was worried for a minute.
Now, let me ask you a question. If these sharks and everybody in the cast were wearing turtlenecks that they looked amazing in, like James Garner did in The Great Escape, would you rank it higher than The Great Escape?
Of course, that that would elevate it instantly.
It's all this film was missing is a shark in a turtleneck. This is the third of 4 chapters where we've referenced The Great Escape.
Oh, I'm going to throw Tango and Cash in there because we need a Kurt Russell reference because I bring him up. So where would Tango and Cash fit in there?
I love Tango and Cash.
I'd
probably put that as third then.
Nice. Jay, what's your ranking
Tango
of the 5?
and Cash above Shawshank Redemption. Just
I love it.
to.
I think we just became best friends.
I just need everyone to realise what caliber of a guest we've got on here today.
No, we just became best friends. That's the caliber. You're my hero.
Well, if you want my ranking, The Great Escape is in my top 5 films of all time. I absolutely love that film, so that's an easy number 1 for me. And then I would go. See, I did love Shawshank growing up, and it's a film that means a lot to me, and I have seen a lot of times. But it's not a go-to. It's not like you know what I want to do tonight? I want to watch The Shawshank Redemption. It's rare that happens. So I think I would agree with Doug in putting Deep Blue Sea above Shawshank. So Great Escape, Deep Blue Sea, Shawshank. I can't remember much about Tango and Cash, if I'm honest with you. I have seen it once. I remember it being fine. I remember Escape Plan being fine. So I wouldn't. It's a coin flip as to which one of those is 4th, which one is 5th. I'm just going to give them both a joint 5th spot, I'm afraid.
This is the greatest day of my life. On a podcast, we had people saying that Deep Blue Sea they prefer that over Shawshank Redemption.
Hang on. You've got people who are willing to be a guest on or are hosting a podcast devoted to 2.5 minutes of Deep Blue Sea, where it's a very narrow and specific sample size here, Mark.
I think as far as intricate plans, so you have people digging tunnels, letting loose of gravel. You have Escape Plan where they're on an island, yada yada. You have Sylvester Stallone and Kurt Russell just crawling around in sleeveless shirts. And then you have The Great Escape, which is quite a great escape, and a few people escape.
It's the greatest of escapes.
But if you think about Deep Blue Sea, you have the reconnaissance in the beginning, then you have the sinking of the facility, and you have knocking out of cameras, swimming backwards. I would say that Deep Blue Sea is these sharks plan the greatest escape ever.
But they are unsuccessful, ultimately.
See, but
they'll die. You cannot argue with that point.
They had the odds are so far against them. They're these monsters, and 2 of the monsters don't even kill people. They just want out.
But they try. They are trying to kill people.
See. Oh, we'll get there later.
One of them kills a bird.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty bad. It's true. And the motorcycle scene is better in Great Escape. I got to give that credit.
Yes. Deep Blue Sea is severely lacking in motorcycle scenes.
The jet ski scene is terrible.
So, whilst we're comparing films, Doug, the first time you and I spoke to each other was for a Lambcast episode on The Meg.
Of course it was, yeah.
Where does The Meg stack up against Deep Blue Sea for you?
Well, I remember that podcast, we talked about that movie had such great promise, and because it went for the lower rating with the classification, that it just didn't have the bloody deaths and the possible gore that it could have. So I don't think I've rewatched The Meg since I saw it for that podcast, and I've seen Deep Blue Sea countless times. So I think, just in terms of a rewatchability factor, I think Deep Blue Sea beats that movie any day.
Yes, it does.
Man, what a great day.
That's a correct answer. Like the Meg, as you say, it had such great promise. It's a giant shark with frankly a very good cast. Like Statham, Bing Bing Lee, Rainn Wilson, Cliff Curtis, Ruby Rose. It's a real interesting and eclectic cast. Masioka. And I've seen it once since we did for that show, because it was just on TV and my wife hadn't seen it, so we watched it. And I have no desire to go back. There's got a couple of interesting deaths, a couple of interesting scenes, but nothing that's even visually impressive. It's just kind of, it is. It's compared to Deep Blue Sea, it's dull. It's just not fun.
Yeah.
It's interesting to note that both these films star an Australian female actor with a sort of pixie androgynous short haircut. Ruby Rose and Jacqueline McKenzie. They both kind of look even similar. So that must be a thing.
And both bending the definition of starring.
Yes.
Featuring.